ESV and Wednesday. Are you on with us, ma? I don't know if ESV Vivian Wednesday, if she's on with us now, so that she can do the honors of giving us the opening prayer.
We can't find her, but maybe we can ask ESV Valuation to help us with a very brief opening prayer. Okay, Valuation is out too on his seat.
Hello.
Okay, she's
Hello?
on now. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, ma. You can go ahead now with the opening prayer.
Thank you. Let us pray. In Jesus' name, Father, we thank you for this opportunity to learn even things that will benefit us in the profession. Thank you for the life that you have given unto us. We commit this seminar into your hands. We ask, oh God, that you grant us wisdom and understanding to be able to assimilate and understand all that will be taught today and to be able to put it into practice so that we'll benefit from it maximally and we help to grow our profession. We thank you for the panelists and the person that will be taking the seminar. We ask for wisdom for everyone in the mighty name of Jesus. As we start now, we pray that your presence will start with us. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Amen. I'm done, Demola.
All right, thank you very much. The next item, because we apologize, we are a bit behind schedule for about 17 minutes. So we just all this we put together now by maximum 3:55 p.m., 4 p.m. Everything should have been done, and then we hope that at the end of it, we would have picked up one or two things that we probably didn't know prior to the start of this program. So without wasting much time now, we are going to be having the address from the national president and also the first vice as well. I don't know if the president is on with us. Otherwise, we would humbly request that our first vice just.
The president is here already. Our president is here already.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So we can have the president's address. Mr. President, you are welcome on board, sir.
President, please unmute yourself. We're always having these network issues in Port Harcourt.
He's on now, but you need to unmute. President, you need to unmute your device.
Yeah, the president is muted.
Steve, good afternoon.
I think the first vice can take over. There's a network issue with the president.
The president is around, and I'm sure he will resolve that problem from his end very, very soon. He will do that surely.
So while we wait for the president to join us, main speaker is on board with us, as well as the two other panelists that will be joining him for the presentation. So we are going to do the honors of, introducing them in a short while. Their profiles are quite intimidating. While I was reading, I was trying to edit them because of time. So we're able to read. So just to give us, the calmness that we are in safe hands this afternoon. Our panelists and main speakers, they really done so much to assist us in this. Luckily for us, all three of them are renowned P&E asset valuers in their own discipline and in their own area and professional practice, especially the main speaker. So we're going to be benefiting from him in two areas: the academia, which is in the institution, and also in practice, because it doubles. So he has that hybrid position and hybrid role. So he's giving us what happens in the academic, some of these errors. And the beauty of this is the young ones, the trainees, and some of the upcoming valuers, they would have the opportunity to know before they get So it's a two-way thing for us. Those of us who are in practice already, some of the challenges that we have encountered, because it's quite, it's funny and strange. While we were putting up this, topic, we had I was discussing with the professional group chairman, and then we started talking regarding what name should we give this topic. At the point we were thinking maybe it should have been modern methods of doing valuation or lapses. We are trying to, and I said to him, there are certain things that we don't color. If there is an issue, there is an issue. If there are errors, we need to first tell ourselves that inner truth and admit that, well, there are some lapses. Imagine someone doing an asset valuation in June 2021 and another valuer going to do that same valuation in July. Nothing has really changed economically in terms of or obsolescence pertaining to that asset. And then valuer A returning XYZ million, valuer B returning XY. Then one of them would definitely be right, while the other person would be wrong. So those are some of the things, those lapses, the errors, either in taking inventories, either in taking photographs, in doing, those are some of the things that we are trying to mitigate by putting this together. That, valuers will be able to learn, and also the younger valuers, the trainees, some of them who are on high tea with us, some of them even still in school, they'll be able to learn. So at the end of the day, it's for the betterment of this, our profession. So that topic, I'm just giving us a background on why we chose this topic, why lapses. There are a lot of lapses that we need to correct. It's going to be, for the betterment of our institution, for the betterment of we as valuers as well. So knowledge is something that is continuum till we die. New things keep evolving. About 2 years ago in 2019, many of us wouldn't have known about Zoom at all. But in 2020, something happened that changed the entire planet. So knowledge is something that is going to be continuum. From time to time, we are going to be having sessions like this, bringing different topics. So as we promised at the beginning of this, our own session and administration, that we are going to be bringing different series. So this is the second one, and then that's just the idea behind why we chose this topic, lapses, because there are lapses that needs to be corrected so that we prepare ourselves as we go in and go further in this profession, we'll be able to know one or two things to correct and to move our profession forward. Is the president back on now? Okay, good. Just right in time. The president is back on.
Okay, has the first vice giving his goodwill message?
Not yet, sir. We were waiting for you, sir.
I can't speak when the first vice, because if I speak, no other person will talk.
Okay, that makes
the protocol.
No. I'm not going to give any good. I'm not giving any goodwill message. When my president.
No. You are the officer in charge of professional groups. You can give your speech, because when I speak, I will not allow you to talk.
Okay, my president. No, of course I can't even. Well, mine is just to acknowledge your presence and to appreciate you and the speed at which this event was approved. I'm sure the chairman of the professional group was very happy. I also want to commend this professional group. They've done very well, and just as Demola said, and even the chairman, the initial, the first outing was very good, and now they've come to that to give us an in-house discussion. They are, let me publicly acknowledge them here, one of the most very active professional group we have in the institute. And it shows that the chairman and his team are working. So I appreciate you, kudos. So my president, on that note,
Okay, the first vice president, SS of Yavalua Jumbo, about the chairman of plant and machinery professional group and other members of the professional groups. Noble colleagues, good afternoon. Let me first of all congratulate the group for organizing this seminar. The truth of the matter is that if we must be relevant in our profession, it means that we must train and retrain. Most of the things that we did 3-4 years ago are no longer visible as of today. And that goes to show that we must research and develop ourselves and be ready to carry out the profession of estate surveying and valuation in Nigeria. Let me also say that the International Valuation Council have also said that most of the methods that we were using before the COVID-19 pandemic are no longer visible. And they have gone into research and development. So we here in Nigeria must also look at our environment, look at our local conditions and environment, and ensure that we carry out research and environment that will be able to be accepted globally. So I'm happy that the Plant and Machinery Professional Group is organizing this webinar, because if we wait, when those who are outside Nigeria will begin to think for us, will begin to relate to us what they think is happening in their country that is not relevant to our own economy, then we're in trouble. Because each economy has its own peculiarity. And Nigeria we have our own peculiarity as estate surveyors and valuers, just like appraisers in USA has their own peculiarity. So the onus is on us to ensure that we carry out training and webinar and seminar for us to educate our people and prepare our people for the challenges ahead. The topic is apt, and I'm happy that the chairman and the secretary and members of plant and machinery professional groups are ready for this particular assignment. And I'm happy. And let me also thank the first vice president for also attending, because he is the person that will report to the council how far this particular webinar went. So on that note, I want to congratulate all of us, and I want to wish us a successful and professional deliberation. I have seen the array of professionals that are willing to give their experience and competency on what we are going to discuss today, because a lot of things has gone under the carpet. A lot of things has gone wrong, and we need to come back as professionals to say that we are in charge. Let our clients not dictate to us what we should do and how we should do it. We are professionals in this field. We should be able to let our clients and our end users know that we actually know what we are doing. If not, they are going to price us very low, because what it means is that we don't know what we are doing. But if we have the facts, we have the competencies, and we also have the experience on what we are doing, our clients will be ready to pay for our services. Why so many people are being paid poorly is because we have not stood up to defend what we have done and what our profession stands for. Most people collect fees that are ridiculous because they don't know what they are doing. There is no client that will be willing to pay an estate surveyor and valuer a fee that he knows that will be ridiculous. He will only do that when you know you have priced yourself so cheaply. But if you know your onions as an estate surveyor and valuer, you should be able to tell the client what you have done, which he will not get from any other person except an estate surveyor and valuer. Right. So it is high time we come out of our shield. It is high time we stand on our feet and defend our professional frontiers that a lot of people are coming in to incur on. Is because we are not given adequate services to the end users. There must be a difference between an estate surveyor and valuer and a quack. If you are not an estate surveyor and valuer, there are certain things that you shouldn't know. An estate surveyor and valuer should be in charge when it comes to plant and machinery valuation, not the engineers. And when we are doing our valuation, we are doing our valuation on financial factor, not on physical, on obsolescence. But you find our members who don't even know what they are doing. So I'm happy that we are training. And one of the objectives of this administration is for us to train our members that will be willing to defend our profession, to train our members to the level where they can compete with anybody who is called an SS of value or an appraiser outside Nigeria. Until we get to that level where we will be able to defend ourselves, defend our report, defend whatever thing we have done, then we have not started. So I want to plead with all of us that are in this webinar that we should get ready. We should be able to say what we have done and what we are willing to do. The services we are ready to the public, and the public will definitely look for our services. The profession, the institution have said you are supposed to have at least 2 and maximum of 4 professional groups. And that tends to professionalism. That tends to specialization. We want to know those who have specialized in plant and machinery valuation. We want to see those that have specialized in agency and marketing. We want to see estate surveyors and valuers that have specialized in facility management, so that when there is a job for facility managers, we should be able to apply for that job with our competencies. Why we cannot do that is because we don't have the wherewith to be able to do it. We call ourselves estate surveyors and valuers. When I was in the university, they say estate surveyors and valuers are master of all and jack of all and master of all. No, it is no longer like that. The globally accepted situation now is that you have to identify your competency. Where are you? Where is your passion? What is it that you can be capable to do and defend? If you are in plant and machinery valuation, let us know. If you are in land and building, let us know. If you are in acquisition and compensation, let us know. If you are in environmental valuation, let us know. If you are in agency and management, in agency and marketing, let us know, so that people, the public, will know that that is where you belong to. That is one of the aims, one of the criteria that we want to achieve in this administration. And that's why we did not waste time to approve this webinar for people to attend. Those who have the zeal, those who have the passion for plant and machinery valuation, because it's the passion that moves. It's the perception. Perception is everything. If you have the perception for plant and machinery, go into it. Our service end users will know that you are competent in plant and machinery. People, when they want to do that, they will call you. But what we do these days is jack of all trades, master of all. It cannot work. So let me, on behalf of the National Council, congratulate the Plant and Machinery Business Group for organizing this webinar, and pray that at the end of it all, that we shall all be better off when we are leaving this webinar than we came. I'm ready to learn. I don't want to be a plant and machinery valuer. I have people who are there. My own is acquisition and compensation. And that is where I have developed my competency. And that is where I have developed my passion. It does not mean that if I have plant and machinery valuation tomorrow, I should not be able to identify my colleague who is an SS of your value and say, look, like Kevin Ophili, I say, look, Kevin Ophili, I have a company in Port Harcourt that wants to carry out plant and machinery of their assets. I should be able to refer that to him, and he should be able to do it and report back to the company. So we should be able to collaborate with one another. And that is why the institution is also encouraging partnership. Because if you specialize in one area of the profession and another person specializes in another area of the profession, what it means is that both of you can come together as partners. And when you are quoting for a job, people will know that you have people who are competent in that area. That is why other professionals are beating us when it comes to collaboration and consulting. You will see an engineer, you will get an electrical engineer, you get a civil engineer, you get an electronic engineer, you get an ICT person, and they will come together, they will quote for a job. How many of estates of yours and valuers have come together and said, we want to quote for a job that has been advertised by Ancon, that have been advertised by the government or by the federal government, and said we are ready in this facility management. We look for somebody who is competent in facility management and say you are going to defend us. My noble colleagues, it is high time we embrace specialization. And I want to say that it is my humble opinion that it is high time we leave what we are told, that we are jack of all and master of all. It is no longer obtainable in this global practice. What is obtainable now is specialization. Let us know your area of competence. Let us know your area of passion. And with that, we are all going to grow together and succeed together. On behalf of the National Council, I want to congratulate the Plant and Machinery Business Group, and I wish them a successful deliberation. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Chairman and our President. Thank you very much for that, very, very strong and, passionate presentation that you did there. It's as good as, we are almost done, but we just have to go on with the business of it. Thank you very much, my President. And I also want to thank you, on behalf of my chairman as well, the speed at which you granted us, approval for this program. The email came in the night. I was really shocked. It was few minutes to 10 p.m. and I was like, wow, my president is still working till this time. And then when the email came in from the first vice, so really need, we want to appreciate you very much, sir. During the first seminar that we had in March 2021, you supported us. This second one, we would also, assure you that we will do our best. We will not disappoint you. We will not disappoint the institution. We will continue to do our best to bring in, interesting topics like this that would help shaping the institution and shaping, each and every one of us as well. So we will go into the next item on our agenda now, which is to introduce our main speaker as well as the two panelists. We have Niesv Professor Austin Otegbulu. As I said earlier, is bringing in two angles and two aspects to our discussion today from the academia. I'm reading his profile now. Because of time, I'll just have to shorten it. He has BSc Estate Management, MSc in Construction Management as far back as 1986. Since that 1986, I know some of the people who are joining us now, they're probably younger, they are yet to be born. So that's to tell you how long, the prof has been in the business and then practicing. And then he also has, a PhD in environmental management, focus on environmental valuation from the Enugu State University. So Prof is well loaded, and he's also, so as I said earlier, he's the principal partner of Austin Otegbulu and Co, if I'm correct. So OC Otegbulu and Partners, a firm of estates of yours and value, and also is the past national secretary of the institution, and then the past chairman of the Faculty of Compensation professional group. Then also to be supporting, as soon as our main speaker is done, to be supporting as well as one of the panelists is ESV Dr. Samson Agbato. Dr. Agbato just, completed his PhD not quite long, and I'm sure that this is the first major program he will be participating in the institution post that award. So be rest assured you are in safe hands as well. Fortunately enough for us as well, ESV Dr. Agbato happens to be the faculty or the professional group chairman between 2015 and 2017. And then the man he handed over to, a person of ESV, Osato Osawaye, who served as the chairman of the professional group from 2017 to 2020, is also on board, joining as a panelist as well. So, noble colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we are really in safe hands. So, without wasting much of our time, I want to humbly call on Professor Austin Otegbulu to come up with his presentation. Mind you, sir, before you come on board, sir, the time is 2:40 now. We are going to be giving you about 40 to 45 minutes. So, by 3:20 p.m., we hope that you would have helped us, to summarize all the things that you're going to be giving us. Over to you, sir, Professor. Unmute yourself, Prof. You're muted, sir.
Prof is on mute, but while we're getting him to unmute himself, we might be having some small 1 or 2 opinion polls while the presentation is going on. Noble colleagues, we encourage you to please answer us while you are listening. Thank you. Prof, can you unmute yourself, sir?
Yeah, at the bottom of the screen, sir, you'll see where your name appears. Oh, Prof is speaking already, but he's muted. Nobody's hearing him.
Prof, you're on mute. Can you unmute your device?
Nobody's hearing you, sir, Prof.
Can you unmute your device?
Okay, good now. Good now. Go ahead, sir. Start from the beginning again. We couldn't hear all the things you said initially.
I know.
Okay.
I'm coming.
They can hear you now, sir.
Oh, you didn't want to share.
I want to share my paper. Sorry.
Now, Umoren is on board. He's going to assist us, the head of IT support. Nice.
So thank you. Mr. President, the President, I think it's supposed to come out again. President, Chairman of Professional Business Group. I'm happy to be here to share my experience in plant and machinery evaluation, both from practice and research. And I also thank the faculty on the business group for inviting me to share my views on this particular topic, which is of interest to me. As a valuer and as an academic, I have been variously worried over time of the problem we are having in plant and machinery evaluation. But as come, this is not working well. On plant and machinery evaluation, which that is the wrong thing. Sorry, please. Bring the papers down.
Please,
bring the paper, please.
No, it's Umore that is doing it, sir. So just mention the slide you want him to.
Just go to the first slide.
First slide. Okay, it's on the first. Okay.
So this today's seminar is very critical to all of us, myself and every valuer, because we are looking inwards to examine ourselves, to look at the way we have been doing our business with regards to evaluation assignments, with particular reference to plant and equipment evaluation. So the next slide, please. So this discussion, in carrying it out, we have to be guided by 3 things. One is evaluation methodology, another one is standards and the processes. Let's look at the methodology. Evaluation methodology deals with the processes and standards applied in developing an opinion of value for an asset. In this case, plant and equipment. Next slide, please. Discussion with the evaluation process. What is the evaluation process? But if you are doing any professional job, you are expected to follow a defined process to show that you are not a quack or you are not a great crasher. A professional person must be systematic in doing his work. So we have to look at what is the evaluation process. It is defined as a systematic procedure used by valuers or appraisers in providing answers to the client's questions about value and value-related issues. It starts when the appraiser identifies and understands the valuation problem at hand and concludes when the appraiser reports the solution to the client. But in doing valuation, there's one thing is important. I'll choose that the problem, you are like a medical doctor. The patient comes to you with his problem. You examine it and know the procedure you will take to address the problem. So a valuer will identify the problem of the client of value, what is he valuing for. But the purpose of valuation is very, very critical to whatever you are doing. And that will determine the procedure you will take, your basis of valuation, and the method you will apply, and all the things you consider in arriving at your opinion of value. You don't just start valuing for value's sake. There will be situations where you just value, say, give me valuation, and you not ask your client, what is the purpose of valuation? If you don't ask this question, you will end up in the wrong value opinion. Next, so I said that and the steps you will apply in any valuation opinion will depend on the complexity of the job. Process is to produce a well-supported value opinion, which will show that the valuer has considered all material factors that affect the value of the asset being appraised or being priced. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, what is valuation standard? If you are, that's why we have to apply it to a standard that will get us in doing our valuation. Because if we don't follow a standard, everybody will have his own standard. So it means that if 10 valuers do a job, the job will be subjected to various standards of the individual valuers. So we have a different standard, and we must which we follow so that our job will be consistent. So valuation standards, on the contrary, enables us to connect the valuation and valuation purposes following a standard process. This calls for standardization in asset valuation. Standardization helps us in achieving uniformity and consistency in valuation practice. It also helps us in achieving reliability and international stability. What we do. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, if you promote reliability, public trust, and international stability in the valuation process. This is particularly important in the light of globalization and foreign investors' interest, because most foreign investors will require a report. If you are in Nigeria and the report is being sent abroad, if you have followed international standard to do evaluation, it will be easy for the foreign consultant or investor to compare your results, your report, with what is obtainable international in the international market. But if you use something that is unknown globally, then the evaluation report will not be used to compare. It's not used to apply international comparability to what you have done. So it is important that you follow global standards. But that does not mean that we should not domesticate our own peculiarities in our own local standards. Next slide, please. So plant is normally defined as an assemblage of assets or of machineries that constitute a plant. That way, to have a brewery plant, drug manufacturing plant, mineral drink plant, beverage plant, as case may be. So, plant is when I assemble different machineries, equipment, and ancillary issues that help you to that constitute the plant. Next slide, please. So we said that plant and equipment valuation is a generic specialization within the valuation discipline. Just as we have specialization in other fields as such as medicine, engineering, pharmacy, etc. By implication, the valuation of plant and equipment requires a high level of competency. This is mentioned by the president when he gave his talk among practitioners in the industry. It is not an all-comers affair.
Hello, Prof.
Next slide.
Okay. Next slide.
Yeah. So looking at the content of most valuation reports, it is easy to notice high level of inconsistencies in the evaluation process. Equipment or machine, capacity of machine, model and serial numbers, and other accessories are excluded. In some reports, some people will use method of evaluation and base evaluation interchangeably as if they're the same, but they are two different things. Base evaluation, purpose evaluation is the reason why the clients want the job done, want the report for you to be carried out. The base evaluation is the valid concept that will satisfy the purpose of evaluation, while the method is the techniques that converts the valid concept into monetary terms, naira and kobo. So this is must have been, you must be able to distinguish the three of them so that you don't mix up things. Otherwise, you will land at the wrong judgment or wrong opinion. Next slide, please. Next slide. Most evaluation reports on plant and equipment show poor knowledge of details expected during inventory taking. Chris Derrick is one of the speakers when we have our lecture on plant and machinery in 1991. In his paper, he observed that ensuring that the exact content of an appraisal is right and that the proper inventories are not always given the deserved attention, and errors in compiling it or establishing a schedule of assets can lead to far greater inaccuracy than mistake made later in the evaluation process. So what you are, these are very, very critical things that we neglect. But I noticed this when I was doing this study. I noticed that some reports is very scanty. You go to do an inspection, the client gives you a list of his assets with prices, and the valuation, and the valuer will just adopt the report and put figures there. Another 2 days, the report is ready. I'll ask questions. Are you a magician? Was a time my client, somebody else wanted to fail to do a job. On that 2 days, they gave me a report. I said, I'm sure you did not carry out inspection of this report. And when I inquired, they were given a list of properties, of assets with prices, which they come to adopt, and I taught them back to the field. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the asset management company is some time ago, AMCON had a seminar, and the head of valuation mentioned that most of the asset valuation they have carried, it cannot be relied upon. The president of the head of valuation stated that they are having challenges with the liability of valuation reports related to collateralized assets. And from what he listed, we found out that plant and machinery or plant equipment constitute 50.8% of the total asset collateralized in the banks. And they're having problem with these reports from our valuers. And not only them, even the banks, the Sept and other relative agencies have been complaining about the reliability of our reports. And that's why this seminar is very, very critical for us to look at inwardly on what we have been doing and see how to address the gaps in our and lapses in our procedure so that we can give our clients better services. Next slide. Next one. Move to the next slide. I already talked on this one.
Next slide.
Yeah, next one, yes. So in doing this, I have to find out the lapses. I did what is called content analysis. And that means I brought reports from valuers. I collected 54 or 58 reports of valuers. I look at the headings of the report, the contents of the report, and see what they took record of in their inspection and valuation, and to help me in guiding to find out the lapses in their methodology and reporting. So in effect, and this will help me to find out what actually is the issues or the lapses in our report writing. But if you start sending questionnaire, it will not help you, but people will still give you answers what you want to hear. Most people know the right thing, but they don't do it. So what you will find out is when you read the reports, you will know what they're actually doing in the field. But questionnaires do not address challenges in industry. But when you read at the report, you will now find out what do they do in the field? And that's what I did in this study. I picked 54 reports from different valuers in different firms and analyzed them to arrive at my opinion. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Slide 16.
Yeah, okay. So reliable valuation and standardization in reporting are essential as a result of growing concern from auditors, bankers, financial analysts, and company directors. A consistent basis of valuation is used to enable valid comparisons to be drawn for the valuation of fixed assets worldwide. Valuation standards at national and international levels will play developmental roles in the promotion of ethics, integrity, and impartiality amongst valuers. Next slide. Next slide. Valuation variance. So, and this lapses in valuation methodology leads to two things known as valuation variance and inaccuracy. Let me start with inaccuracy. Inaccuracy arises when valuation opinion cannot be matched with the transaction price of the asset when it's being disposed. Maybe I value a property for 200 million naira, and when it is being sold, the highest price they can get is 120 million naira. We call it valuation inaccuracy. Even though I know that time factor can equally, within the time it is valued and the time it is being disposed, can affect the difference in price and valuation. But most banks now, they value when they are giving the loan, and when they want to dispose, they equally value again before they dispose. So the issue of
Hello, Prof. Hello, Prof. Are you still with us? Prof, you are muted, sir. Can you unmute yourself?
Prof, you need to unmute yourself. You are mute.
Go to the bottom of the screen. You'll see where you can, or maybe if Maureen can assist us to unmute Prof.
Okay, it's good now.
yeah, go ahead. So valuation variance is when 2 or 3 or more valuers value the same assets at the same time and come out with different value opinion, which is right apart. It shows that they have not followed the same process, they have not followed the same standard, and they have not considered the same issues. So in that case, the valuation will vary from each other. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next one too, but you are just talking about variance too. Next one too. Move to the next slide. I've just done this one.
Prof, 20 more minutes. 20 more minutes, Prof.
Next slide, yeah. No problem. So, but you are delaying in slice movement. So, lack of correct and consistent results for valuation process has brought great damage to our reputation. The validity of any valuation report or advice depends on integrity and reliability of the process explored by the valuer. Valuers, by virtue of their professional qualification, are allowed to carry evaluations and arrive at value estimates that is concise, precise, and objective. If our reports cannot give us accurate and reliable opinion which the client can rely on, people will start to wonder, why do they require our services in valuation? So we have to be very careful. But if we continue the way we are going, people will start wondering if we cannot rely on this people's opinion or value to take our decision. But valuation is for decision making. It's for decision making, not for fancy or decoration. So if we cannot, our report cannot be used for decision making, for reliable decision making or informed decision making, then we have a problem at our hands. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. In any valuation assignment, the goal of the valuation process is to produce. You have done this. Go back to the one you moved from.
That would be slide 20, yeah?
Go back for the one you moved to. Go back to the upper one.
19 then.
You have Wahala.
19.
You are even on the first one, on the first page. Yes, yeah. In any
leave it here.
Appraisal, this is okay. In any valuation assignment, the goal of the valuation process is to produce a valuation opinion supported, who shows that the valuation has considered all materials that affect the value of the asset being appraised. In summary, the valuation process is the way of carrying out valuation. It is the same sequence of procedure adopted for all categories of valuation. This includes the following. 1, establish that the instruction, the scope and base of valuation. You have to establish this instruction, the scope and base of valuation. Secondly, you compile a schedule of assets to be valued through a survey and inspection of plant and equipment for identification of the assets, their condition of the assets, particulars, and production capacity. Then you carry out a market survey for the prices of new and used machinery and equipment and other socio-economic and environmental factors that may have in asset value, and to value the asset on the appropriate basis and method and produce a report for the client. Next slide, please. Next slide. Plant and equipment valuation is you are going back to the first one. Is modeling. Go back. You are going back to the first one again. Go to the 21 or so. Move to the next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Move that away from this one here. Then, in order to estimate the pictures are covering the estimate a value. Yeah, pictures are covering my. Can I compress the PowerPoint so that it can enter the space?
And Prof, if you have your hard copy, maybe you just be following.
Wait, let me use my own hard copy. In order to estimate a SAM value, a machine could be properly identified and prescribed. Description should be so precise that the reader can properly identify and supplier can quote. But if you identify a machine properly and have all the details of the machine, even the person that didn't go to the field with you, if you see that you have the model number, serial number, capacity, age, condition, everything, he can, with what you have given him, be able to get the prices of the equipment you have identified or machines you have identified during your inspection. But most times, people just say generator, no name, no capacity, a refrigerator, a drilling machine, and that does not convey any meaning to anybody. Next slide, please. Next slide. Then we talk about micro identification. Micro identifications deals with the individual machines. There are different characteristics of individual machines. It focuses on listing the single machine and identifying the specific of the equipment, like the brand name, model number, serial number, type of power and dimension, if practical, age and condition. All these are very significant in market identification. But if you have this, you help it to price the machine. The other ones is market identification, in which you talk about the useful capacity of the machine. Please, next slide. Under this, you have the capacity of the machine. But if a machine is installed to produce 100 tons and is producing 70 tons, you ask question, why is it producing 70 tons instead of 100 tons? It could be due to age of the machine. It could be due to lack of raw material, which constitutes economic obsolescence. It could be due to low demand in the market, which makes the producer to scale down his machine to produce less to avoid high in his warehouse. But if you produce excess than the market demand, you will not be able to dispose of those items. So most times it may pay you to scale down so that you don't overproduce your products in the market. So that capacity, that micro advantage is very, very important. So knowing the process, what the machine is producing, and the capacity of the machine, and whether they are producing under or over. So if they are underproducing, you have to find out the reason. And that will help you to know whether it is being overproduced, whether it's having functional obsolescence or economic obsolescence, as the case may be. The next slide, please. Then we talk about standards. Standards of valuation is where standard of valuation is very, very important in what you are doing. Evaluation standards enables us to connect the valuation purposes following a standard process. It provides a guide for uniformity in valuation practice. Valuation standards should address 4 key requirements. 1, setting out the principles for governing the guidance of the approach to valuation. For instance, the standard should lay out the correct treatment of valuation within the company balance sheet, covering ethical considerations. They should define the best practice dealing with such matters as conflict of interest in terms of engagement. Then 3 is covering technical consideration, including, for instance, points for valuation of the capital equipment and the calculation of provisions for depreciation. Ensuring that mechanism for proposing, formulating, and modifying standards is responsive to pressure and fairness. Next slide. Next slide. So the absence of standard will be a catalyst for chaos and anarchy. The valuation practice in the sense, anarchy is said that valuation practice will be subjected to and influenced by individual practitioner standards and perception of valuation process. Next slide. Next slide. Valuation standards are critical and they are the soul of a healthy valuation practice. In the study on valuation accuracy in Nigeria, some authors Ogumba Nigeria noted that, among others, there is a degree of insufficient understanding and wrong application of valuation methods in the part of some Nigerian valuers. Next slide, please. Next slide. So standards have always come as a panacea for challenging in valuation practice. For instance, the RICS responded to the 1970 property crash in UK by publishing the Red Book that sets out standards for valuation and professional conduct of valuers. Whereas the federal government in the US responded to the service and loan crisis of the late 1980s by insisting on uniform appraisal standards and the licensing of valuers in each state. Next slide. So we can see, next slide, you can see that this uniformity is very, very important in valuation, so that it can be used to solve crises in design. Now we have a standard, but nobody is following it. Yesterday, we interviewed people at the board, and most of the students, most of the candidates who came, said that they are seeing the standard for the first time today. And this standard has been out for the past 2 or 3 years. and they're just knowing about it. Some of them are even head of valuation or working the valuation unit of their firms, in big firms, and are telling us that they're just seeing the standard for the first time today, yesterday. So, so two of our valuation standards said that the valuation of plant and equipment will formally require consideration of a range of factors related to the asset itself, environmental, physical, and economic. Next slide. So other environmental, so you look at the factors, under the factors, you look at the assets, covering technical specifications. Under technical, you look at the useful economic life. Under technical aspect of valuation in PI and equipment, you look at the aspects covering technical specifications, useful economic life of the assets, condition, and installation costs. Installation cost is very, very essential because most times you just put the price of machines. Every plant has a design for the installation, and that has a price. And they will bring in experts to come to the country where the machine will be installed to install it. They stay in the hotel for months to install the machine, test them and test run them and commission them. And some of these things are things we omit in our valuation reports. Then we talk about useful economic life of the assets, condition, and installation. The environmental related factors cover location in relation to raw materials, including nature of demand, transitory, that you don't have demand for the equipment or for the products. Do you have enough raw materials? Are they infinite or short supply? You have enough, but if raw material and it's not enough, you may have problem of production because if you don't have raw material, you will reduce your output for a while, and that will lead to economic obsolescence. Impact of the environment and legislation too, where there's legislation can equally lead to economic obsolescence. So you have to understand this thing, not those counting machines and putting prices, but all these factors will influence the value of the machine. But we see machine as an investment of the client. If the return is reduced by any factor, that returns will impair the utility of the asset. And when the utility is impaired, the value of the asset is equally affected negatively. So legislation that may affect utilization of the machine or impose additional decommissioning operating costs. License to operate certain machines in some countries may be restricted. For instance, will affect the value of the machine. Next slide. Next slide. So economic related factors cover the actual potential profitability of the asset base, comparison of operating costs with earnings, the demand for the product manufacturing, and the potential of the asset to put into more valuable use. If there's low demand for the asset, or what they're producing is no more in demand, it's become obsolete. Maybe if you go to Nitel, you will see equipment that are new, that are used for telegram, for fax machines, that's not working, but there's no demand for them again. So they may be good and useful, but they have no economic use. So their value is almost zero. Next slide, please. Next slide. So there's need for consistency in determination of the value for all purposes. Otherwise, clients will question the need for the valuation profession. Consistency and reliability of value opinion are key to the sustainability of valuers, integrity. One of the primary aims of adopting international financial reporting standard is to improve the international comparability of financial reporting. This implies that the measurement of the effect of large transactions and other events must be carried out in a consistent way for different entities, so that each country will have some commonality in the way they do their things, so that you can compare the standards and rely on what is done in other countries. Next slide, please. Next slide. Then the green book is there. The new book, we need to address some issues like scrap and salvage value, but we didn't domesticate our green book, so we need to domesticate it to address certain issues which we have been ignored by valuers in Nigeria, like scrap, dealing with scrap, salvage value, obsolescence, which is often ignored by valuers in Nigeria. However, addressed, the green book is also insist on stating the purpose of valuation and allocation of assets and liability to be valued. We only deal with physical information without treating functional and economic obsolescence in our valuation. So we have to address this issue. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. So because valuation requires the exercise of judgment, it is fundamental expectation that valuation are prepared by an individual or firm having appropriate technical skills, experience, and knowledge of the subject valuation. The problem of valuation in value estimates among valuers lie in the very heart of the set of skills assembled by the valuer, as well as the valuer's experience and judgment. The findings from studies undertaken by Table and Bullet report the following as sources of inaccuracy in valuation of plant and equipment. Experience in the field of endeavor will help the acquisition of competencies. The lack of experience leads to substandard valuation, advice, and valuation inaccuracy. A poor technical knowledge of plant and equipment valuation on the part of the valuer results in poor and faulty valuation reports. A good technical knowledge is a major requisite for the success of a professional career. Applying the wrong information due to incompetence and lack of experience is a pitfall that could be a potential source of valuation inaccuracy. Next slide, please. Next slide. So we look, this is not the next slide, though. You'll be something. This is not the next slide. You jump some slides to this slides. Next one after this one. Okay, let me work on this one, no problem. So in doing this thing, we check at what valuers consider in their evaluation, in their report. So the condition of machine, capacity, these are things we should consider in our reporting. Condition of machine, capacity of the machine, use of machine, machine model, year of installation, maintenance history of the machine, nature of defects, if any, machine compatibility. But when two machines are not compatible, if one machine is producing 10 tons per hour, and another one is producing 15 tons per hour, that one is producing 15 tons, it's of no value because you have to scale it down to 10 tons. Otherwise, they cannot work together. So these are things but you don't, if you price it for 15 tons, you are overpricing that machine, but the owner is not getting the utility of 15 tons in that machine, but that of 10 tons. So you have to scale it down. Serial number, country of origin, production process, picture, and machine arrangement. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. So the response, we start to find out what valuers feel about these issues, about what we are listed now. The response show that they have good knowledge of the factors to be considered in the evaluation process. There's need to confirm, but when we went to the content analysis, we find out that what they said they should do in the questionnaire was different from what they do in the reporting. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Nice. ICT, next slide, please.
Prof, you are muted again. No? Let the more. Okay, you are back on, sir. Just a minute, Prof, before you continue. Although your time is supposed to be up now, 3:20, but because I can see that we are really enjoying this presentation, and then we have some more slides to run through. So we'll just give you 10 more minutes, exactly 3:30 p.m. Exactly 3:30 p.m.
Just move down a bit. Let me go to the right up and leave the table. Move down a bit. The responses, from what you are seeing here, we are just saying table of questionnaires and see what people responded. But when we go to the content analysis, that's where I'm more interested in. Let's move to the content analysis. Can we move to the content analysis?
Scroll down to content analysis. Be going one by one.
For the beginning of content analysis. You are
should this still go down, sir?
Yeah, go down.
The next one, let him read.
The result for cost analysis, we look at the tables. And find out what valuers say they do. But when it comes together, and the evaluation report analyze show that they include pros and values of valuation contrary to appropriate valuation process. Can you see the next? Go down a bit. Go down to the table. I want to see the table.
Slide 50. Slide 50.
The table.
50,
Yeah,
yeah.
that table. That full table. Can you broaden it? Make it wider. This might phone. Let me get the table. So what we did here, we found out that we look at the reports. We found that most valuers don't include purpose of valuation in their reports and method, and some of them mix them. As the table shows you, the table shows you. This is what I'm looking for. The table shows you the number of valuers that responded. Out of 40, how many of them put purpose of valuation? Very few. Just about put a base of valuation in their report. Then very few put base of valuation in their report. Just up. This is not what I'm looking for. See the table I'm looking for.
51. Okay, this is what you are looking for. 51. Number of compliance 40. Yes.
Where the table? Expand the table. Expand this table. Expand the table. Make it wider than this table. So we found that out of the 54 people, only 14 put purpose of valuation in their report. That's the major lab. Only 14 put purpose and basis. Then only 12 put purpose of valuation. Then basis only 12. Method of valuation only 5 in their report. Then assumptions only 3. Production power flow chart only 3. Cabling, because cabling and piping only one put cabling and only one put piping. You see, most big machines, battery, you use piping. All some of them underground, so avoid on the roof level. So you have to find out from there's a cable carrying power for that to the factory. So this cabling is a very major problem which you have admit. There's one situation where a valuer valued a flour mill. He excluded cabling in the plant and machinery for insurance purposes. After 2 or 3 months, the factory caught fire. And that was in 2003. Only the cable got burnt, and the value of the cable was 150 million naira. And the cable was not included as in the inventory of the plant and machinery. So the insurance company said they will not pay, but it's not part of what they cover. So you can see that these things we ignore are very much significance. Then we talk about production of power, cabling, piping, that is micro identification, like the label number, serial number, the maker of the machine. But the makers have different prices. A machine produced in Japan and a machine produced in India can't be the same price. So if you look at fridge or air conditioner, different brand names have different prices, even though they have same capacity. So these are things we will meet in our evaluation, which is very, very critical. Then we talk about serial number. It helps you to identify the machine. But if you have only 3 machines of the same type, the serial number will be able to, and same model, the serial number will be able to differentiate each of the machines, but they might have different conditions, but but the same model and same capacity. So instead of show you which one has this condition or the other way, and then we'll show you which one has this price. But if you say, when somebody else say pumping machine 10 number, unit price 2, if you are saying that all of them have the same value, which is not correct, because they cannot be in the same condition. So it's a bigger problem in our valuation report. Then date of manufacture and date of installation are very, very important in our machine. But if the machine has been refurbished, but when the machine is refurbished, the value, the economic value, the economic value and the value will change, but it will now bring the value higher. If the machine is refurbished, you have a higher value than what it was before. But that's a car that is dying, you want to change the engine, change the body, change the seats, you refurbish it, the value will change. So you have to know all this. And then you go to what they call borderline assets. Some machines like this cable. Or piping supply electricity to the factory. Some supply electricity to the which cable which are supplied to the, and then what you call extend on repairs. They may be on the factory, be in the owner's maybe laptops or cars, maybe out of the city on the director's houses. So that these are what you call extensions. You have to list them separately and make sure that you do not see them in your reporting. Not everything they give in list, and some things in the list you are given the must have been expired or retired. That one. Them adjusted on the company. If it is maker's name, the important size and the specification name, size and capacity is very important. So some people they meet it. See only about 22 put capacity and then if you have above this, the other one is energy consumption. If a machine is consuming higher energy compared with modern machines, it means it's having functional obsolescence compared with the newer model of that machine. We have to notice these are things we have to do.
A quick reminder, Prof. 2 more minutes.
Yes.
2 more minutes.
Yeah, no problem. So you see, the number of if the machine is meant to operate 3 times a day and to low demand, that is economic obsolescence. Then whether a machine is have maintenance, several maintenance, when it was maintained last, all things will affect the condition of the machine. Then when the machine is suitable, stability of the machines, but that's when they're compatible. If you bring 2 machines that have different capacities, one must be scaled down to the capacity of that one so they can work together. Can I have the next slide so I can just quickly round up? Next slide. So, level of defect of the machine. You have to know level of defect of the machine, chronological and the effective age. But when the machine is refurbished, the chronological age will change from the effective age, will be high, will be give it a higher value. Condition of the machine is reference to the standard. Which standard are you using in value? Is this IBS, RICS? And you have to state the standard of valuation you are using. Then most of us only put depreciation. We don't identify whether it's physical deterioration, economic obsolescence, or functional obsolescence. We lump all of them as depreciation, which is wrong. Next slide, please. Let's meet the conclusion. Next slide. Because findings from the study, next slide. Let's just move straight. Next slide. When the findings, majority of who claim to be specialists in equipment are not members of the equipment division. Only 25% of them are members of the faculty, and this shows that in their subsequent report to the other questions, and results from content analysis show that they lack good knowledge of plant and equipment valuation. Next slide, please. Next slide. Many of the respondents are not familiar with valuation process in plant and equipment valuation, based on some of their responses to various methods that applicable to different processes of valuation. This is also reflected from panels of content analysis. Next slide, please. Next slide. You are taking my time. Most of the respondents reported that machines, condition, capacity, and maintenance history, use of machine are important information in plant and equipment. This is commendable, but unfortunately, these findings is at variance with the result of the content analysis. When you look at the reports of valuers, what they say is important are not considered in their report. They just know what is to know that something is good. Another thing is to apply it in your evaluation. So we have to be very careful. Most times we send our boys without inspecting what they are doing. So that's a very big danger to our evaluation process. Next slide, please. Most of the respondents indicated that valuation standards and related tables are useful guides in valuation. The results from the content analysis show that general lack of adherence to valuation standards and lack of knowledge of valuation process. Most of valuers are not conversant with valuation methodology and processes applicable to P&M valuation. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. The correct standard of practice amongst valuers in P&M valuation is a result for errors of variance and inaccuracy. There are methodological lapses among professionals arising from inconsistencies in practice standards and valuation processes. According to there's also a degree of insufficient understanding of wrong application and application of valuation methods in most valuers. They use the wrong method to value things. Next slide, please. Next slide. Recommendations. Just go on. So recommendation. There is need to encourage specialization in P&M valuation to enhance standard and its expertise in the field. As the president said, the professional and regulatory body should produce appropriate and detailed manual for P&M valuation to encourage consistency, uniformity, and reliability. Next slide. Next slide. Where evaluation standards and manual are in existence, compliance and enforcement must be seriously addressed to minimize incompetency and shallow valuation reporting. The errors of variance and inaccuracy constitute a great danger and time bomb to the valuation profession, and they should be addressed as a matter of urgency. Next slide, please. The training of valuation practitioners and students should be strategically practical oriented in line with the practice standards of Niesv. Theory and practice must be integrated. Next slide, please. There is need for valuers to update their knowledge through continuous professional development, meetings, and workshops. Firms should also use only valuers with requisite experience to carry out inspection and survey of plant and equipment for valuation purposes. There must also be a close supervision and in-house training for all valuers. Next slide, please. Conclusion. Next slide. The future of valuation profession depends on these, as the lack of coherent and consistent results from the valuation process constitutes a formidable threat to the sustainability and integrity of the valuation profession and must be addressed urgently. Next slide. The threats are very obvious from the evidence of lack of understanding of appropriate valuation methods and valuation process, non-adherence to valuation standards, obvious lack of competence based on findings from the content analysis, which indicates that most valuers omit vital information and procedure in the valuation process. Next slide, please. The threats are it's important that only those with the right knowledge and competence should carry out the valuation of plant and equipment. There is need to sanitize the valuation practice in line with international and local standards. Next slide is at the end. So to conclude, finally, we have to be very, very careful in what I listed to you what we omitted, like in terms of atomizing. Am I off?
We are still on, sir.
Go ahead. We omit so many things in our valuation reporting. We don't mix up functional, economic, and then these details we need, this model, capacity, and serial number are very, very important things. Cabling and other things. Then when you talk about componentization, at times when you are valuing an armored car or these bullion vans, you see the body is old, but you find out armored car stays about 50 years. It's the engine that can be changed. In South Africa, I have seen armored vehicles, these bullion vans, that been sold, that are still being sold, and are still being useful. So you have to understand the nature of the industry you are valuing and how to operate. Some things will last 50 years, and even at 50 years, you find out that the body is still and it's bulletproof. And if you change the engine, it's still as a new one. So you have to understand the industry we're operating. If you are valuing an aircraft, you find out that you change the seats about 5 times before the aircraft's economic life comes to an end. So you have to value it for a shorter period than the body of the aircraft itself. The seats might be journey for 5 years, but it changes, it wears out faster. So that's what they call componentization. Because some of them depreciate faster than other parts of the machinery. So you have to actually have a detailed understanding of the subject matter of plant and machinery. And it's not something everybody goes. Many people don't like valuation, but they like the money from it. So they don't care about the skill required to do the job, but they want the money. So when they get the job, they just pick a list from the client, what they call asset register for the company with their figures and adopt it as such. Then you can see machine, grinding machine, blender, drilling machine, no name, no make, no capacity, no number, nothing, and put figure. And the bank will take it. And some of these things are no more in existence in the premises of the industry. So that must have moved away from the parties that have even been sold. What are the list? And when there is a foreclosure, the bank will find out that half of the equipment are no more in place. And they will feel we didn't go to the field. And a lot of us are lazy. So the issue of relying on valuation after register should be stopped by valuers. And most of our even big firms, when you send their boys to the field, please supervise what they are doing. But most of them come back with asset register that way they used to compile asset inventory for you. And I mentioned before that the errors in inventory is far more dangerous than errors in production process. Because the inventory is the basis, is foundation of whatever you are doing. If you get the wrong inventory, if you take the wrong details, your evaluation will obviously be wrong. You have variance and inaccuracy in your evaluation. And the bank relies on you to advance a loan to cover their risk, and you are even exposing them to more risk, which is not proper. And in this case, I have to end my lecture so that the organizers will not find me. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so very much, Prof, for that wonderful presentation. Honestly, it was as if you should just continue and then, it should not end. But, time, we really have to factor in time. This is a very, very interesting topic. And then we will try, because a lot of people have been asking that questions regarding how they can get the presentation. In all honesty, what Prof has said is the exact things. There are things that we really need to pay attention to. In summary, I give some, conclusions from what you said and then put some things that you mentioned. Prof spoke about the consistency in valuation process. When there is inconsistency in processes, that's where you see valuer doing a particular valuation for an asset, getting a figure, and another valuer doing another thing. Prof also talked about the errors in basis, method, and purpose of valuation. All these three things now, they are fundamental. The basis is the fundamental principle of your valuation. So you need to understand the purpose, understand the basis, and then the method. Prof also talked about inventory taking errors. Once your inventory is completely wrong, then you have nothing to value, because it is in your inventory that you understand the capacity of the asset you are valuing, the date the asset was manufactured, the date the asset was brought to Nigeria and installed in the factory. You would understand then how many hours has that particular asset worked. Those are the things that would assist us in knowing the value. So when valuers make some of these errors, as Prof has identified now, these are the issues that we have with our clients. AMCON and other people will just come on board and say, oh, the valuers, they've started again, inconsistency. Prof also talked about timeline. What we have today now that our client does is that they will give us an assignment today, Thursday at 4 p.m. and say, you should submit the report tomorrow, Friday, because the loan has to fly. Account officers and the head of credit and risk, they want the transaction to flow. So once the transaction moves ahead, they get the point in the bank that they are doing something. But what about the valuer? How can a valuer manufacture the value of an asset under 24 hours? So Prof talked about that timeline. That is not possible. When we can't do certain things, we need to tell the client and say, well, give me some more time to do this. Prof also talked about, valuation standard. So those are the things. We have the Nigerian Green Book now that a lot of people are they don't even know that Green Book exists. Talk less of the International Valuation Standard. We have the 2017 edition, 2020 edition, and also the 2022 edition. So those are some of the things that we need to do. We would find a way. Thank you very much once again, Prof, because this lapses is what everybody should learn and understand. We need to get this presentation by Prof, and then we'll try as much as possible to share it, and we need to practicalize all the things Prof has highlighted. All of them needs to be practicalized. The chairman, faculty group or professional group chairman is coming on board to also add to some of the things Prof has said, while we'll also, encourage you to send in your questions We are rounding up in another 20 minutes. We don't want to delay everybody or delay anyone. By 4 p.m., we should be saying the closing prayer and rounding up. So I'm going to bring on board the professional groups chairman now, who I will also anticipate other questions. My chairman, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Demola. And thank you, Prof, for the wonderful presentation. It's a pity plant and equipment presentations usually need and requires time because it's a specialized aspect of our profession that equally requires time for you to explain and for people to assimilate what you're saying. But you have done justice within the limited time you have. And most importantly, I want to mention things that there are things you might not hear from outside the shores of Nigeria. You might hear it maybe in some other third world. When you do valuation for plant and equipment, we will forget that the assets we're valuing are international price assets. Now, most people will do valuation in countries like ours, where you have Naira keep fluctuating up and down, and you value an asset that is priced in the international market, and you put the figure just in Naira and put a date and walk away. In another 2 months, people might just start querying your report. So it's usually good for you to do things like having in your report, mentioning to the reader or the user of your report, the exchange rate you use, take it to an international currency. So if you tell them that you use 400 Naira to $1 to arrive at your opinion of value. So even if Naira keeps fluctuating, they can easily do the mathematics and know what the current figure should be in the international market. That will help us a lot. I notice a lot of our plant and equipment valuation we do in Nigeria don't carry that exchange rate comment on our report. Now, because of time, so that we can allow our colleagues to go do some other things, if you have a question, you can send it to question and answer session. If you equally want to ask a question, you might raise your hand and the moderator will identify who is raising hand and take some questions before we close. Thank you, noble colleagues. Thank you, Prof. Demola. Okay, can you please coordinate the question and answer session? Thank you.
All right, we should be rounding up in another, I think about 17 minutes from now. So there's a question up from D. Tazungwe Dugeri. Pardon me for the pronunciation if I didn't get it right. So either the prof would give us answer on this or the faculty, the chairman of the professional group. He said, let me read the question. We have a history of patronage by users of valuation services based more on chronism rather than specialist knowledge. How do we work out of this? As I do not see ESVs rejecting any form of valuation for lack of knowledge. How do we work out of this quadrant? So I think Prof mentioned something, and also the president initially, because I'm going to leave this to Prof and also the chairman to answer. But let me just quickly do a recap of what the president said initially. He said he's a professional, he's the president of our institution, and then the man came out truthfully. He said when he receives instruction on P and M assets, that he is a valuer, but he concentrates more on compensation that he actually then gives to. So I don't think this should be easy, my chairman, if you agree with me, that once somebody comes to you, you are, for instance, now let me use an example. You are a cardiologist. You are to study the hearts of the human, and somebody comes to you and then start telling you about, ovaries. Yes, you might have been taught in the medical school. You went there for about 7 years, but this is not an area. A cardiologist, you focus on the heart, the oxygen level, blood level. So in this regard, sir, so maybe the prof or the chairman can look at it that valuers walking away from what they cannot do, rather than saying, don't worry, it's plant and equipment, I can do it. Let me just go. At the end of the day, the valuer does it and messes up. Over to you, sir.
Okay. The solution that's on the valuers, but a client sees a valuer as a valuer. You don't know whether you are an expert in P&M or not. But if you are given a job you can't handle, you call a colleague who is the expert to come and help you execute the job. It will entail sharing fees. If you can't say, please, it's not my area, go to this valuer, is their area. But if you still want to share the money at all costs, you will bring a valuer who is competent that valuer. So I have a job outside my competence. Come and help you do it. We share fees on an agreed basis. But doctors invite consultants in the area that are not competent to do surgery, either heart surgery or other area of medicine. Like some hospitals have people they consult from other hospitals to come and help them do work. So we should start practicing that in this kind of in our profession. I know a value that got a job that I couldn't do. You were asking me what I have textbooks you can read to do the job. I said I do the job now. You want to learn the job now in textbooks. I said that is not proper. You are not doing justice to your clients. So we should make a policy that if any valuer who is not competent to do a job does the job and has a problem, he will be highly penalized for going to an area he lacks competence, but misguiding his clients on the assignment. So if you know that you are not competent to do a job, get somebody who is competent to help you do the job, or you reject the job because otherwise you'll be guilty of negligence. But if they start suing us in this country for negligence, most of us will sit up and do our job properly. But because nobody goes to court in Nigeria, people do whatever they like and get away with it, and the business continues like that.
But Prof, sir, let me even add. But Prof, sir,
let me add to what Prof have said.
The chairman wants to talk. Okay.
In addition to what Prof have said, if you now we're talking of a conflict between managing professionalism and managing business. What you can do, because you equally want to manage your client base. You don't want to just, when your client calls you as an estate surveyor, say, oh, sorry, I don't do that type of job. Another one calls you, say, I don't do that type of job. If you have interest in doing plant and equipment valuation, for example, you can now collaborate with another firm that is very good in that job, but you'll be the face that your client is seeing, so that it will help you equally manage your client base. Because if you start rejecting jobs, maybe a bank that you work for, they call you to come and do valuation of plant and equipment for them. You say, sorry, I don't do it. You now introduce them to another firm. You might start losing that client base. So I can equally advise you, if you really have interest in plant and equipment, to learn it. Now you take the job, but before you take the job, you must have gotten collaborative agreement with another firm that you know that can do the job. Then you collaborate with them and do the job, but still mention it in your report that in completing this valuation exercise, we did a collaboration with this ABC firm to complete this job. But if you know that you trust your client base, you don't have any challenge about losing them, then you can just refer them to another firm and walk away. That's my addition I'm giving on this. Demola, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. We have about 2 questions on board now, so I'll try,
Check ESV Follow is raising his hand to, you can bring him on.
So,
ESV Follow.
ESV Follow, okay, I'll mute and ask your question so that I'll take the other questions that have been sent online. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks so much. My professor is a well-done job. Actually, you've tried the matter, but I have 1 or 2 things to look at there. Yes, we can be saying that some people are doing it, or probably they cannot do it. We know why they are doing it, but of course, the whole thing is rest on the institution and the regulatory body. If you say somebody should go and consult a valuer, a P&M valuer, and the institution doesn't have the list of the valuer, how will the person, who will he get to? Even some of them will see it as a business, like the chairman said, and the professionalism, they will look at what comes to them first. So they will see what and if the client does not complain, they feel they're okay. But I want us to look at one thing really, how do we have this problem of this inaccuracy and valuation, valuation variance? Actually, the first problem I think there is the unskilledness of all the valuers. I believe that if somebody is going to value plant and machinery, as you are getting to the place, you should have understanding of the whole thing there in the first place. Somebody who wants to value a plant, he needs somebody to tell him, the person, this is A. It remains A, but the person should be able to have the idea. Then what about this inaccuracy when there's no proper identification. Yes, we're talking about inventory, about this is very crucial. Yes, the information will be there. Then we have not looked at the economy at times. What is our foreign exchange in the last 20 years in Nigeria here? Valuation of plant and machinery may not be valid. In some cases, even a week of the following day, like what happened in a few weeks ago in Nigeria. Before they shut down the bureau de change, you could see that how the thing is galloping. If we bring that one to valuation, it's affecting the value of plant and machinery because the equipment are mostly imported, and at the home of the manufacturer, they will look at the proper value of dollar. And here it was X an hour ago, now it is this, which means the value will change to that. Hello, sir. Yes. Yes, I'm still on. Then the aspect of inventory.
Try round up, sir, because of time. Try round up.
Oh, okay, sorry then. And then the issue has raised about how do we know the second. I'm not indifferent to let us collaborate. Let's have synergy. But the synergy, if somebody said that he knows it, who is confirming that he knows it? Then the institution to go further, possibly liaise with the tertiary institutions where these courses are being taken to see how the plant and machinery valuation can come into the system. If there should be borrowed courses from the other department, who will come at least to give them courses on what is plant and machinery, what is industrial plant, what is services plant. Once we know all these things, then somebody who finished from school will know that if he gets to a building, he will know that, okay, these are what I will meet. If somebody is going to a textile industry, he will notice what he will meet. That's at the time we'll be able to say that somebody will be able to place value. And please, we should not forget one thing there, that this asset, plant and machinery, is a little special and it's not constant. There are places that if you do valuation, 10 valuation in a year, there are some of that valuation you may not do in the next 5 years. In 1992, I have the opportunity to do a refinery. Since then, I've never done refinery.
Yes, we follow.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir. Your question is noted, sir. So right. I need to take 2 more questions, which I want the chairman to quickly answer. They are very similar, and then it targets, centralized on these same issues. Prof has mentioned that you cannot do evaluation without knowing the model, the condition, and all the things. How is the asset performing? You want to value something, you don't know the condition, whether it's functioning. So the 2 questions, one from John Osinachi and then the other from Nwosu, they are very similar. We have some assets that have been functioning, as Prof said, since 1970, 1980. You go to the factory, model number is not there. Manual cannot be found because they've been there. Some of these Indian textile mill, the refineries, or the Egbin Power PLC, for instance, some of these assets, we can identify the model. We can identify the name of manufacturer. It's peeled off because they are old, but these machines are working effectively. So what do valuers do in those kind of situations? Model number, everything wiped up. So if the faculty, chair can answer that.
Okay. Thank you. You say model number, serial number not there. Those are still micro identification level. You now go to macro identification level. What can this plant do? I'm sure you'll be able to identify what it can do, because the owner cannot just have it and be using it and want to value it without knowing the machine he or she kept. So if we're able to identify what the machine can do, because what will help you finally when you're even doing the final valuation calculation will be, what can this equipment do? If it's a plant, what can it produce? Assuming it's a refinery, you can't get any model, serial number, no problem. But you know that this refinery can do 500 barrels of oil per day. Now we cannot use that description for the machinery or the plant we want to value. You now start relating that capacity to other available capacity in the market. What is the price for 500 barrel capacity refinery selling in the international market today? But you can see that you start narrowing down to from what you don't have, you go to what you have, and relate it to what is happening in the international market. How are people responding to that type of equipment? Do they still have spare parts on that? Because you say it's very old. Before you could get those serial number, model number missing, the company, they don't have any documentation to show you, you know that that equipment must have been very old. Now you need to be careful when you're valuing such equipment to know how the international market responds to that type of old equipment. But really at that level, what you can rely on as a professional is what the equipment can do. Meanwhile, when you are completing your report, you must go to comments and mention all those challenges you had, so that whoever that will use that report will know that there are some caveat that this machine, when we're valuing it, the serial number we didn't know, model number we didn't know, maybe the make we didn't know who manufactured it. All those challenges you have, you mention it, so that whoever that is using that report will know that this report has been classified, and you have to be careful in using it. So that's the essence of mentioning it in the report. It's not that it can't be valued, it can be valued, but you must make sure you classify the report so that the user, the end user, when he reads through the report, will be guided to be cautious that there are some things missing when this job was being done. That's what I can give you for now. If Prof has something to add, Prof can go ahead and do that.
No, what I was adding, if the engineer operating that machine must have a way of knowing the capacity of the machine. Must he operates it, he knows the capacity. Even if the thing is gone out from it, you know the capacity of the machine, and you have to guide you in the position of the capacity, and even the make. You don't have the model number, but the make. You may know the make of the machine somehow. But over you're calling that this is make for which country. But the model number, when it's missing, it means that machine is nearing a scrap or level of it starts to become obsolete. Maintenance become very expensive. So we have to be very careful and place a value that will reflect the condition of the machine properly, and put a caveat that this machine has been old and most of the records are missing. And then you find out how regularly they maintain it. That shows you whether machine is becoming economically obsolete or not. If it's breaking down very often, then that will give you an idea of the level of condition that machine has gone down. It's a very tight situation, but because we come up once in a while. And that's when you value the satellite power station, because of when they are changing ownership, they lost all the records for the machine. But we were able to, we had to use torch, craft to get, and I had to go. Luckily, I knew the guy who was the manager when it was installed. So I went to him, paid him a fees, and he went to give me some information which was lacking in their records. So at times you have to go a some mile to find information. We value one in Bauchi, an asbestos factory, which has been closed up. We went and paid the factory manager who has already gone to his village in Gombe. He came down and we paid him money. He gave us all the details about the machine, their condition, the make. He had all the records with him. I was surprised. So, and we paid him off. And so this is, you have to buy them at times. But the workers, they have them, but they may tell you don't have them if you ask them. But they know it's now a rare asset. And I use them for something. But if you offer them money, they may give you information that will help you to carry out your work. That's my own experience anyway.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Just to answer the follow-up, there's something you mentioned that regarding how do we know the professionals, or how do we know people who are really the specialists? Who do we go to in this kind of situation? There's some. I don't know if the first vice is still with us. I remember doing one of our inaugural meetings in 2020. There's something that we talked about regarding certification. Beyond the certificates that we get in school, beyond the general knowledge that we had in the university or in the polytechnic, and then the professional exams we wrote on Saturday, and then the interview with the board, there is a need for the faculties also to be strengthened and empowered to give further certification. We have, compensation group, we have the general valuation group, we have the P&M. So I think the first vice spoke about it during our inaugural meeting, that because I'm sure the chairman of the faculty too can speak about it, that what ASA, the American Society of Appraisers, what they do is that they encourage specialization. You cannot call yourself a P&E appraiser, for instance, and then say, okay, at the same time, you're also very good in marine assets, you're also very good in gold, like the other woman that we do meet at the international conference that specializes in valuing gemstones, jewelries, and all those things. So I would encourage that maybe in the future or before our tenure ends, we try and bring that beyond what we learn in school, beyond the professional exams we write to get qualified to become an associate of the institution, or also to, to be certified by SVABON. The professional groups now can also do something that we further go ahead in certifying who should be a P&M appraiser, evaluation for compensation appraiser. I don't know if Prof and then the chairman would agree with it, that there is a need for that specialization post the school general knowledge, everything you combine in valuation 101. Then for you to now say, okay, I want to become a compensation valuer, there's a need for me also to get special training in that field, and then I become certified. Chairman or Prof, regarding special knowledge after school.
No, well, there's no dispute in that. Even our president have mentioned it earlier. But let's take there's some other question from ESV Shola Okunola. Can you take that one?
Okay. ESV Shola Okunola is asking, please, if there is wide disparity in the historical cost and current price of alternate plants for valuation of plants that is no more in vogue, which value is the most appropriate? I think the question just, I think, got muddled up together. What he's trying to say is that an asset is no longer in vogue. For instance, now the Airbus A380, they are no longer manufacturing, Airbus is no longer doing it. And then historical cost, he can't use it. And then he's trying to compare Boeing and Airbus. This asset is no longer in vogue. Samsung is not producing this particular machine again. So I'm using Panasonic to compare it now. So historical cost is XYZ. Panasonic cost, and I'm comparing with Samsung, is XYZ. How do I value it? That's his question.
Okay, let me make an input. There are two ways to it. It's either you use what you call trending or indexation to adjust the total cost up to the modern price, or you use the modern price of the modern one.
Prof, are you there?
I think it's the network.
Okay, I think Prof is having network glitch.
Of the two aircrafts, in terms of functional obsolescence and so on and so forth. What is different in the obsolescence? So you know how to adjust in those prices. Like let's take a machine is consuming 10 megawatts, 10 of fuel a day, another one is taking 50, and
network. Prof, are you there?
Yeah. His network is
okay, well, the chair, do you want to
okay, in energy consumption compared with the newer one? That is the functional obsolescence. If it's taking more labor to operate the other one, or more effort to operate, so you can put the cost of the effort or the labor in operating the newer equipment or newer machine, and compute what is annually and capitalize them. But you got all these costs from it. You find that you are bringing the older machine, you are bringing the value of the new machine to the value of the older machine. But after doing that, they can start doing anomaly, physical iteration, and other things into it. And find out that you will get something near the value. But most of the time,
okay, Prof is having network challenge. Let me add to what Prof have said. If when you have current price, whether for similar whether you have for similar item or for the same, or and when you have historic cost, you always go for the current one. The current one gives you a guide on what is happening in the market for that kind of product. Now it is when you don't have information on current cost for, then you start going back to historic cost and now start doing trending to bring it to bring that old cost to a current what you're just doing is to bring the monetary value of that item like 10 years ago to what that 10 years ago money means today is when you're doing trending. But once you can have information on an item that does the same type of, give you the same type of output, but different make, then you can do your adjustments to know if you're valuing a Mercedes SUV and you're valuing a Kia SUV of the same maybe capacity of car, but different make, but you can find the one for Mercedes, but you can't find the one for Kia. Because you know that Mercedes, you can go to the market and find out what is the price relationship between Mercedes and Kia products. You can use it to come and do your adjustments. Since you know the price of A, but you don't know the price of B, which produces the same type of service or product, then you can do adjustments to get your figure. But so you can't talk of run back to historic costs if you have information on a current one. But what they teach in valuation is as many options you can try your hand on, try. When you finish, you as a valuer will look at it and know which one looks more realistic, and now justify your opinion or value in your report. Tell the user why you chose to go this way. You might not be wrong. Thank you.
Well, I think the last two comments that I can see here are not really questions, but like suggestions for people on the issue. One from, Jugeri, and also from Ridwan King. It's like, like an advice. So we don't have many more questions posted. So in the absence of that, as we said initially, it's a series. We did one in March. We're having another one now. If, time permits us before the end of this year, 2021, we'll probably be bringing, and then we'll hope to request from our colleagues for about 3 hours of their time. We'll look for a better time. So it's a series, as we said. Series doesn't really end, so it continues a continuous process. So in the absence of any question, either in written or actual, we would be moving to the vote of thanks now. Oh, my chairman, sir, is there any other thing that needs to be added?
Check. Do you have a? Okay, so you check. You don't have any other question.
No, there are more of comments. No, I can just quickly read them. On the issue of missing micro identifiers, disclosure becomes very important. They are just like an advice, to buttress what you have said. And then what Ridwan said, it's obvious misappropriation and non-application of standards. Everything that you've said, what Prof said, is just, re-emphasizing it that we need to do this, we need to do that. So they are comments to support what has been said already.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
So I think we should be moving to the vote of thanks now. If the faculty vice chairperson, Niesv Udu Akupereke, is on board, she can, give us the closing remark and the vote of thanks. Over to you, Ma. Are you with us, Ma?
Let's check.
I'm checking now if Niesv Udu Akupereke, if she's with us. I don't think she's with us now. Maybe the chairman does the honor.
Okay. Is our presidency on?
Or the first vice, either of them.
No, it's okay. I was just wondering if they are still on. Well, we thank our president for finding time to honor this our webinar session today. We'll thank the first vice president too. Has been of immense support to the professional groups, and we'll thank him and we'll beg him to keep up the work for the institution. We'll thank our presenter, Prof. We approached him. This thing came up a very short notice, and he accepted quickly and said anything for the institution, he will do it. So we can't thank him enough. We'll thank our colleagues, all that have spared time today to join this webinar series, all for us to chat with, to work together as a group, learn together as a group, so that we can come out outside smoking as professionals. We really have a long way to go. this is just the beginning. We hope we'll all have time to do more on this exercise of working together to present a common front, a common standard, a common tradition, a common language outside before us and the end users of our valuation services as they have to do with plant and equipment. I thank you all for your time. We were supposed to have some other opinion pool. I don't know, Umoren, if you were able to power it before people leave, to just answer us. If you have topics you have challenge with, you want us to treat in the future, you probably send us a message so that we can integrate it in our future webinar series. Then I don't know, maybe we'll use our platform to receive people's emails. I don't know the best way, or if we have it from the registration, we'll check from the registration portal. If we have those emails, we'll probably send people the email for this today's webinar, and hope we all enjoy this webinar today, and see you very soon. Thank you, noble colleagues, and have a good evening. Please, if you can help us just quickly answer this question, it will help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, noble colleagues. Thank you very much, noble colleagues. Really appreciate your time for the past 2 hours or thereabouts, that you've given to us, using your data, using your time. We really appreciate this and not taking it for granted. So as the chairman said, in the future, we hope to do more. That's why we are having that opinion pool. What are the topics that you want us to treat regarding P and N? The faculty platform on WhatsApp is open. Please suggest to us. We are all learning. We are colleagues. We need to grow this institution together and also grow the nation Nigeria together. So we appreciate you once more. And thank you very much. While we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, my bro, thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much.
Honestly. Prof, well done, sir.
You're in the institution.
Yes.
Thank you.
I appreciate. Yeah.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gone.